welcome to Dualitea. I am your host, Ash, and I am here with Ange. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Of course, of course. I'm excited to get into this topic of artistic maturity. You know, the term is not one that I've necessarily used before having our conversation, you know.
Understandable.
Definitely a theme right now. So I want to start off with asking you, you know, like where did that phrase come to you? Where did that term come to you? And why is it centered in your life right now? Why is that the theme?
So I made it up, but the, I guess, relevancy of it is more so like I blended the two, like growing up and still trying to be a kid at the same time. You know what I mean? But it's also about like being a kid and more about like, you know, being able to express my artistic self, I guess. Not I don't want to sit here and think about the word too hard, but yeah, it's more so because personally in my life right now, I am doing a lot of literal business building. You know what I mean? Whether it actually is my business or it's you know, just my, I guess, connections. And that's hard because a lot of people, I learned recently as of like the past like couple weeks that straight up just people just like don't pay you. Like, you know, I ask them to like sign a sheet or whatever, like a deposit, this and that. And then it just ends up, they either completely ghost me and like nothing happens or like, I don't know. Like it's just hard. You know what I mean? And growing up or growing into the young strapping adult I hope to be, it's hard to do without the financial stability, but not, you know what I mean? And I really am not cool. And not that I'm not cool with a full-time job, but it's more so like what I want to do artistically, like obviously does not align with like the 9 to 5. I'm open, you know, if I'm really struggling that hard, then sure, fine, I'll find a full-time job for like a year or something, you know what I mean? But it's not, you know, it kind of blocks me in terms of like the connections and networking I can make, because, you know, I'm in one place for 8 hours, five days a week, you know what I mean? It's like, so growing up trying to learn that like balance is hard. You know what I mean?
It definitely is. I feel like I can really relate to what you're saying. Like, this is also a theme that's happening right now in my life. I'm undergoing a bunch of different transitions with my whole world is artistic in that way, you know. I move very abstract to the average person. I don't believe I move super abstract in like the artistic world, you know. I believe like it's, you know, it makes sense to me, and that's the most important person it should make sense to, right? So I've been actually coming into a space transparently where it's like these questions like, okay, well, if I'm not managing and spreading myself too thin with too many creative projects, and, you know, then you have to start paying attention, like, well, what pays me, you know, and like, what am I benefiting from? And I don't naturally just like look at things in that way. I feel like I feel what feels good for me, and like I do the things that feel good for me, and I do establish boundaries with the different projects that I take on. Simultaneously, if you're doing 5 projects and you're only getting paid from one, you have to start, you know, paying attention to what you want to eliminate, what you want to keep, if you want to, you know, stay afloat and not be in fight or flight, survival, you know. So I've been like really reflecting on that coming into, I opened up my business last year. I finally committed to getting my LLC after thinking about it for 9 years.
Let's go.
And and when I did that, it was like, okay, like I'm never gonna be ready. I'm never gonna know the legal advice. I just need to do it, you know. And I did a decent job with the knowledge that I had, and I continue to learn. I continue to look up different business courses and resources in which I could help myself and establish my brands. But of course, I couldn't just do one. I had to do 2, right? So I had my brick and mortar, and then I have my online intentional apothecary, which I carry. The candle you see here. Well, this is actually exclusive because shout out to Tenny and Pudgy and the babies on the way. This is their lovely favor, and it smells like Mori Soñando. I don't know if you're familiar with that drink, but it's like a creamsicle drink, and it's so good. So that's what that is. But
nice.
Yeah, you know, all of that to say, it was just like I was doing that, you know, having the podcast, being a host of Raw Urban Sessions, awesome TV show. You know, check it out if you haven't already. And amongst other projects, amongst other things and commitments that I have, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm paying rent for a physical space to provide the holistic services that I do. And I don't even have time to do that right now.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm in a similar boat, but it's like, all right, so I'm the opposite of you in the sense that I just kind of like did things. I didn't know what the hell an LLC was, but I got one. You know what I mean? But even then, I'm still learning now, like, you know, the logistical and legal, like, little, can I curse?
Yeah.
The legal and logistical bullshits of, like, you know, business, you know, because I'm not a businessman. I'm an artist, you know what I mean? And that's obviously polar opposites, but I think that's just kind of how, not to sound so corny, but that's just kind of like how I do things, like how I roll. Because, like, I think the more I think about things, the more indecisive I get. You know what I mean?
I
it's
really
like,
understand.
You know,
that.
if one day, legitimately, what I did was I woke up one day and I was like, you know, I really could use like a space. So I got an LLC and then I got a space within like a couple weeks. You know what I mean? Like after the fact. But like everything I do is either I'm completely indecisive or like in an impulse decision. And I think in terms of safety, that's probably why I'm not making money off of the little people that don't pay me and ghost me. But you know, either way we're trying. But I'm in the same boat in terms of like the space, because like obviously, like I said just now, you know, I said, oh, I need a space, and then I got the LLC in the space, and using the space right now is more so difficult because getting clients is hard. You know what I mean? And not to be so like business talk, but it's just like people are hard. You know what I mean? And like networks and connection is awesome, but like, you know, there's only so much that can go around before it's just you kind of run thin at the very least within your inner circle. And that's where like promotion comes in for me nowadays, because like, dog, I'm not a marketer in any way, but I have to like kind of teach myself. But that's another thing too, where it's like I have to kind of just like do it and then figure out as I go. But that's just for me, obviously, you know. I don't. Like
I know that's absolutely. I mean, that's a part of being an entrepreneur, especially like putting your art first and then like figuring out the business later. It's all about what you're saying.
Don't say that word, man. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm just a dude that does things sometimes, and I just happen to have a business.
You know, I feel similarly to the term entrepreneur because, you know, you go on social media and it's like, wake up, LLC, this.
Oh, yeah.
You write everything off. You could do this. Why are you sitting on your butt with this money? You have it and you can do it. It's like, all right, bro. Like, okay. Like, so I get the aversion to the terminology, but if we're talking like literals, you know, that's you know, I mean, I'll say for myself, like that's what I am, although I don't normally claim it, you know, but it's the bracket of, you know, work, you could say. So with that being said, like self-employed and yeah, you know, like learning that stuff, especially when you haven't had like people do it before you, like if you didn't have people in your family or people close to you that were like doing it for you, even if you did but it wasn't your pocket, like it's really difficult to figure it out, but at the same, it's not impossible. And but we are the determiners of like when we're gassed out and when we're not. And I was catching myself like 2 months ago, like I'm like, oh my God, like I'm really spreading myself thin, like I'm doing this, like I have, and not to mention I have a extensive amount of side jobs that I do that come in, you know, at all different times. Like, I'm whether it's working a farmer's market or cleaning a house, like I pick up these jobs and I do them, you know what I mean, to keep everything afloat. And then I'm asking myself, like, well, like how am I going to maintain? Like, how do you get out of the cycle? The same cycle, like there's the cycle of like, okay, you get a full-time job, you're working, and you're tired after. So you don't necessarily want to work on everything, but you work on things sometimes, right? And then it's like, okay, well, when you're working on everything and you don't necessarily have the time to focus on one thing, like how do you make it make sense? For me personally, I realized that it was like I had my hands in too many pots. So right now I'm just consolidating, you know, what makes the most sense. What do I feel that, you know, creator that is trying to use me for in that way, or like what feels resonant that I'm in alignment with at this point in my life, you know? And for me, like transparently, like I just decided I deserve to have somewhat of like some stable income, you know? So I'm shifting in to working for somebody that I know and trust, you know, and having like more stable days, but having it be part-time still where it's like I can still navigate my dreams. And going into a business partnership, like transparently knowing where you're at, like what you're trying to do, what you're trying to establish, like, hey, I'm not here to like work for you for the rest of my life. But while I am here, I can make sure that I optimize your business. And when it is time for me to leave, I'll make sure that I have people trained so that they can fulfill my spot. I feel like going into spaces like that and being transparent, you know, is the best thing you can do when you're in those in between positions. You know, I just got offered this other position where it was like, you know, there's options. There's options in different places. And one of them is like very stable, full time, you know, really good pay an hour. And, you know, it's a commute and it's about traveling. And that's something that's, it's on the table. I'm considering it. And I was like really like sitting with myself and I'm like, if I do this, it's like I'm not going to be able to do the things that I do. I won't be able to have the podcast on Wednesday because I won't necessarily have the ability to pick which days I can do what, you know, and less flexibility essentially. And I hit a point where I sat with it and I'm like, okay, well, I'm closing down my brick and mortar right now. To kind of recalibrate, I just signed up for like a business course that's like 8 weeks that I can learn more about how I can budget, learn more about grants, like learn more about these things that a lot of people know in business, and either they gatekeep or you have to pay to get it, or it's like a puzzle. It's like the way it's even explained is like, what are you saying?
Dude, that's okay. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but straight
do.
up, like, okay, I don't know what it is. And so I come from a family of just generally creative people. Like my mom went to like music school and my dad like played the drums or something, you know what I mean? But like nonetheless, nobody like ever like has any type of, whether it's legal advice, and I get it. I understand why people can't just like give legal advice, but like I don't know any lawyers. I don't know any like official people that can actually help me with that kind of thing. And like nobody's willing to help me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, you know, even then, like for me to get the help or like to even to do something like a business class, like, you know, I need the money to do that and I don't have the money, but like, where do I get the money if I'm trying to do freelance? It's just a endless cycle of trying to figure out where the hell to do things. You know what I mean? And even then, good on you for like understanding that you're doing too much. Cause I think I briefly talked with you about this, over the phone not too long ago, but I like roughly 6 months to a year ago, I like, my body just like decided to stop working. You know what I mean? Like I was having like heart palpitations, and I ended up going to the hospital for the whole thing. And basically, you know, after the whole doctor was like, listen, man, you're like physically overworking yourself, mentally overworking yourself, and you're not eating enough and drinking enough. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, recognizing that you know, need to take that time back, you know, or like be able to just do like the part-time and like your own thing. Like that's it's like a higher power in itself, because like, you know, I like to think I'm self-aware, but it's something when it comes to something like that, you know, I just like doing what I do, and if I do too much of it, obviously I'm fucked up. You know.
Well, what my discernment is like when the things that I love to do become, when I start having an attitude about it, that's when I know I'm burnt out. Yeah. Like when it's like things that I genuinely love to do, when I feel like I'm too tired, and I don't mean like the traditional like, oh, like I'm tired, I didn't get enough sleep. Like when I feel it in my bones, like, what the fuck am I doing this for? You know, and I could still find my why, and I can still be like, oh, well, you know why you're doing this, da 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 da. When I have to convince myself my why, I know I need to take like a week or two off. And that's why, you know, I mean, I might not be the best at it with you guys letting you know when I'm taking my breaks, but I'm a person and I gotta do it. And sometimes I don't want to post about it because I'm doing it. You know, I'm taking the break. So
how dare you?
With that being said, it's just like, you know, like some people are more, you know, on it with that, like, oh, okay, we're gonna be 2 week breaks. Like I just kind of go rogue sometimes, and then I'm back, and then I'm like, what's up? Welcome to Duality.
But that's what I'm saying. No, exactly. And I think honestly, like whether you know it's like this date or not, like, because I know a lot of people work on like just random. Like I said before, the hell's the word? Like the randomness. I don't know. Like the randomness of just like, you know, I need to do this. Or I need impulse. That's the word.
Impulse.
Some people just work off of like the impulse of decision making, or, you know, and like I said, good on you, because like not that I don't have that ability, but it's just like, you know, like I a lot of what I do is like schedule based, you know what I mean? Like next week I'm like fully booked because I'm doing this and this, but it's still like, dude, like nowadays, because of all like the medical shit, like now I'm trying to figure out where, you know, my like break days kind of fit in. But like the only good thing about not knowing what you're doing business wise at the moment, you know, because I'm still like hearing back from lawyers and all that stupid shit. But like the only good thing about that is like the way of like part time or just like freelance is like amazing because there's no like I have Saturday and Sunday off. Like sometimes I'll just have like a random Monday off. You know how great that is? You know what I mean? That I could just kind of like sit in bed for a little bit longer and not have to get up at like 6 a.m. on a Monday. Fucking awesome. You know?
It really is.
But,
and that's the perks of like, you know, being the one in control of your schedule in that way. You know, for me, it's like I've been kind of like in this float of like I said, I need to consolidate. I need to manage myself better. And my artistic maturity came in with that knowing is like I need to manage myself better because I'm running myself thin. You know, like, yeah, I can get it together and manage myself a little better and get the income flowing in. And yeah, it'll be, but like, where is going to be my break? Where is my recovery? You know, so like picking up something that I can just like, you know, get a little bit of stability in that way. And, you know, it's going to help me hit my baseline because I haven't been at my baseline because it's like my weeks have been so turbulent where it's like I'm making a lot of money this week and then it's like I'm so gassed out and I'm barely doing anything in that week I can't function. Yeah. So I'm doing only the commitments that I have already established and nothing more, so that doesn't look like the social media work. That doesn't look like, you know, it's like to be the person doing everything is so much, and I give so many people credit for being able to do that, you know, and to sit there, like I've been really working on my perfectionism and like all right, just post it, you know, and it's like I tend to only be able to do that with my personal stuff or like my impulsive memes, you know, but like when it comes to the actual content, it takes me a little bit. So I feel like I'm getting a little better with that. The more I ease up on myself as a person, less perfectionist I am with myself, the less perfectionist I could be with posting and things of that sort. But yeah, just like navigating, you know, and like I was saying in the caption to our speech bubbles is like, I also feel like my artistic maturity has been coming in as far as like I really fuck with myself at this point in my life. Like straight
That's good.
up.
No, listen, same. It's great. You know?
It's like, I'm 28 years old. I've been doing this. Like I've been doing this. And it's like age, like when I was younger, when I was in my earlier 20s, I was constantly, because I was always the baby. Like I was always like, you know, whether I was in aesthetic school or different certifications or whatever, I was always the baby. So like everyone's like, oh my God, good on you for doing this early, you know. But then I always felt inadequate because I'm like, oh, I'm still so young. Like I'm so young.
That's how, again, not to like, I'm really young, but like that's exactly how I feel, because it's like I feel like even like people like in the same building as me, like with MySpace. Like, you know, like I had a conversation with the guy across the hall recently. Really cool dude. His name is Brian. You know, he was talking about like business or something, and I was telling him, you know, I have to, you know, talk to the lawyer because I have to fix this, and this really quick, and and he was like, you know, saying all this stuff that not that I don't understand, but that I just haven't even like put my foot in the water to yet. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, dog. Like, I don't know if I'm just like not there, or if I'm just like too young to understand, but not to be like, you know, the kid at the adults table, but it's just like sometimes I kind of feel like I am.
But that's artistic maturity. I feel like in a big way. I feel like artistic immaturity is when you don't accept it. If you're like, yeah, I am too young to understand, but excuse me, but I can try and I can break it down into more digestible pieces. It's like when you look up, you know, or you ask ChatGPT or you look up different things and you're like, you know, how do you explain this to a child? You know, sometimes we have to go about that way. I look shit up like that all the time. When I'm trying to understand, I'm still a child in a way, you know, like we're all still child there till the day we die because we're children of somebody. But like, you know, like as far as the terminology, I didn't go to fucking law school. I don't know what the fuck this shit is saying.
Dude.
So I'm like, explain to me in lame terms, like explain to me in simple, like, okay, this is what that means. So like even just taking that in and being like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am young, not in the way of like it's a deficiency, but more like, oh, like almost curious. Like I have
like
so much more to learn.
Yeah,
like you don't need, maybe you just don't need to understand that yet. You know, like you'll understand it when you're meant to. And
all right, mom.
It's like, yo, it's crazy how we do that. Because like I heard that show when I was younger, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking figure it out. Right?
Dude, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I'm so like, I like to call myself independent, but I just like doing things myself, but not in like I want control way. It's just like I'd rather just do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times too, it's a lot of like, well, really with anything, but like especially with like something with like a parent, or if you're doing something with like a friend or a family, you know what I mean? It's always like whether it's like permission or you have to wait for them to get there and they show up late and da 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 da. There's so much just like, you know, you could depend on yourself or that type of thing, you know. And it's just like at that point, why am I even waiting for permission for this person so I can go do it when I could just do it? You know what I mean?
I feel like that's just like a part of like that's what I'm stepping out of. You know, I was being that way for so long. I'm just going to do it. I got it. I'll just do it. That's why I'm fucking tired, dude. That's why I'm tired, because I've been doing it myself for so long. So it's like, okay. I like I was saying the other day to a few of my friends, I was having this conversation multiple times where it's like, even like when leaving here, I normally carry, you know, my basket over there.
Nice.
And
you talking about the Target basket over there?
Listen, don't blow up my spot, bro.
What are you talking about? It's just
I don't know
red...
what you're talking about. It's going to be painted over soon. I've been saying that for 3 years, but it's going to be painted over soon. No one's going to ever know. Personally, I didn't take it. If we're just talking on the record, I didn't take it. I used to take care of this older gentleman. His name is Nicky. Shout out to Nicky.
Okay.
He's 90 now.
Nice.
And, or 91 actually, because I was taking care of him when he was 88. And, yeah, like he just happened to be stealing a bunch of Target baskets. So like, I was like, hey, Nicky, like, you know, could I use one of them? He's like, you can have it, sweetheart. Take it, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
He was the Target manager at the time.
Yeah, let's say that. and that shit is sturdy, you know what I mean? So I just need to get artsy with it. I just haven't had the time, right? So maybe I'll pass that on to somebody else as a creative project, you know? So with that being said, like, that's where I've been at. Like, when I'm leaving here, I'm usually carrying that. Sometimes I have a bowl, I have my purse, I have a water bottle, whatever the fuck I have, bag lady, whatever. You know, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got it. You know, I'm the
one trip. For one trip, yeah.
Exactly, exactly, that part, you know? And now after I've been leaving, I've been like, hey, do you mind helping me with this? And I've been, even saying that has been immense growth for me. You know, now I'm like, you know, I don't want to work hard, I want to work smarter. Not that I'm not going to work hard, because I'm still going to work hard. But I don't need to fucking exhaust myself when I have people that are willing, able, and capable of helping me. I've been the person willing, able, and capable of helping so many people. Why can't I accept that? Because I know that if, like, for me, when I work with people, whether, like, they're always going to be compensated in one way or another. If I can't do finances, it's going to be met in another way. That feels good. That's discussed before doing it, you know, and like, or, you know, even some people just do things out of the kindness of their heart. And I'm always like, here, take food. Here, oh, let me get you tea. You know, I'm always trying to nurture the people around me that take care of me, because I know I've been the person taking care of so many people for so long that, like, I understand that. I value it. I value it. And, like, now my maturity coming in and just being an artistic being is just, like, accepting help and utilizing it. But that just came out of years of doing it by myself, and, like, thinking I couldn't have it any other way. And it's just like, you know, I think that a lot of times where people get it fucked up is like when they're older talking to younger people, they speak like they were never younger, or like that they don't understand. Like, they might be able to relate to somebody who's younger. It's not
just a phase.
Yeah, it's like, because it's like, instead of being like, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, be leading with like, I did that too. I did that too. And when I did that, it made me completely depleted. And like, these are other resources that I've been figuring out. Maybe sharing it in that way could give an opening of a door where your actual goal to like help whoever you're talking to could actually permeate, because the person feels heard and seen. If the person's not heard and seen, they're just gonna be like, oh, whatever, you don't get it. I'm gonna do it my way anyway. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's your parent, whether that's your friend, whether that's your mentor. You know, I know, like, with one of my mentors, with my elder, you know, shout out to Jose Soto, like, in spirit, you know, like, something that always made me really integrate his lessons was when he would tell me about his.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be like, you know why I know? Because this is what the fuck I did. You know, and like,
Bro, it came with a thesis statement for everything.
Yeah, no, for real, because like that's why most people speak. But it's just, there's like, I call it like either elder millennial grump or like just grump in general, regardless of what, you know, generation you're in, you know, baby boomer grump, you know, Gen X grump, whatever you want to call it. And
Buffoon.
it's just that grumpiness comes with like, I don't have to fucking explain that to you. Just take my fucking word, right? But like, that doesn't work to people who are deep thinkers. It doesn't work to people who are trying to be heard and seen, you know, because that's what they're looking for first. Whether you're aware of it or not, you go to somebody and ask them for advice, not only for their advice, but for their understanding. You want to be understood. You want to be seen, because if you didn't, you wouldn't fucking ask.
Yeah. Unreal. And I think a lot of that too is I apologize for my stutter.
You're good. Don't
I think a lot of that too is like surrounding yourself with not the right people, but like the people that are like willing to work with you and things like that. Because like even so, my little company's called Underscore Productions. For everyone at Underscore, it's very like I'm working with them because first of all, I never ask people to work with me. It's always like if they want to work with me, they can ask me, but not like in a I'm too good way. It's more like a if I ask you, then it looks like I'm looking for help, and everybody's willing to give help, but not really accept help, if that makes sense, at least in my end. So it's like, you know, the people that work with me kind of came to me and said, hey, you know, I want to do this and I want to help you. So I'm like, absolutely. Like, if you want to help, that's perfect. That's great. You know, and vice versa. I want to help you too. But, you know, it's that common goal of like, I hate saying the company because it sounds so corporate, but, you know, like benefiting like the company, you know what I mean? And that's why at least everyone that's here now is here. Because we all have that common goal and we all have that like, you know, not grump aesthetic to you know like what they put into the company and just even just the stuff that we work on. Because half of us are like audio music people and half of us are like film video people.
Ungrump yourself, you know.
That's what I'm saying. But now, not to completely tangent, but if you don't mind me asking, what's your extent of like your artistic ability? Like what do you do?
Like, what do I do?
Like what do you do
as a whole?
Just as a whole. Give me everything. Listen, I waited to talk to you for this podcast, so I need every single little detail, dog.
All right, I do a lot, so I'm trying to think where I could start.
Listen, man, how much time we got?
All right. Well, I'll start off with here, right? So, Dualitea Podcast is a platform I like to call it the podcast for people who wouldn't traditionally be on podcasts, because I didn't necessarily ever want to have a podcast, you know.
Ditto.
Didn't ever seek one out. Kind of just like fell into my lap. You know, you could watch the other episodes where I explain it. But yeah, like, you know, what I do here is just to help amplify people's voices. Like, how I tend to choose people isn't like a traditional method. I resonate with somebody. If I resonate with them, then I'm like, all right, let's talk. And it doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be like, I don't require an about me, you know, because if you're anything like me, you know, when somebody asks you about me, like right now, you know, it's like, what the fuck do I do? Let me think about it. So with that being said, I just don't feel like labels and titles and things like matter as much as like how do you feel like when you're around that person. So yeah, like even in this question right now, it's like it's interesting for me to go into it because I tend to like not disclose that.
Well, if you don't want it, there's no stress. But
no, it's okay. I do when people inquire. I just don't.
Understood.
I don't do it like really uninquired about. You know.
Gotcha.
So so I'm a podcast host, producer of this podcast. I host another TV show that I was saying earlier that's produced by Kimbra Eberly, and it's called Raw Urban Sessions. It's really, really dope. It's about it's like a mini concert of different bands that like from all over, and then we interview them after, which is really awesome. You can find that on community television. And what else do I do? So I'm an esthetician for 7 years.
Okay, I'm so sorry, and this is gonna sound like terrible.
What is an esthetician?
What is an esthetician? I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Most common asked question by men. It's fine.
Understood.
So
Actually, wait, hold on. Let me stop you because I think I heard somebody say it recently. Is it like something to do with like here?
Yeah,
Is it
it
hair
is.
or is it face?
Face.
Let's go. I almost got it. I was this close, man. I was
You're
this close.
great. That's great. I'm happy that you took the
I really-
moment to like put on for the map. You know.
I appreciate it.
go.
I'm not like other guys. I promise.
So, an esthetician. I'm a skincare specialist. So, I do facials. You know, I help people with their skin concerns and things of that sort. You know, I've been doing that for like 7 years plus because I was also working at a natural skincare company while I was in school. So, really great. I've been actually doing this for like 9 years.
You do
now
a
I
lot?
think about it. Do a lot. It's not even half of it, but I'm gonna shorten it because I don't want it to be all about me.
Understood.
So yeah, and then that kind of opened up the pathway to like me grabbing certifications and other things. I'm certified in tattoo removal.
Shoot.
I was certified as a tattoo artist to do permanent makeup, but that's something that I stepped away from. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I don't really traditionally say that because I'm having a different relationship with my energetics. You know, I have indigenous blood and I work with things more in an indigenous way. Not to say that Reiki isn't, it's just not of my lineage. So I give a lot of honor and respect and reverence to the Japanese culture in which it comes from. And a lot of the ways that people are taught Reiki out here in the States are like very much so like all over from different places, not just like Shinto, traditional Japanese beliefs. So with all that being said, you know, I do energetics, right? So whatever certifications really doesn't fucking matter when you're talking about spirituality.
Yeah.
I have chopped wood and carry water, and I'm able and willing to do that, you know. I've been studying with people and just living and just doing my best to return back to myself and to nature in that way. Yeah, you know, I read cards. I do. That's what I got for now. I mean, I do a lot of different things. It just matters on what. Like apparently, when I was at my friend's baby shower, I was making flower crowns. Essentially, that's something that I can do too. You know,
Yeah. We can do anything.
anything you set your mind to. But essentially, if I were to put everything into a nutshell and just kind of like ground it and button it up to make it more digestible, I'm a person who is constantly looking for holistic ways, holistic being whole, right? Finding different ways to balance ourselves in being whole by taking in what we need to feel that we are all we need, you know, in that way. So not so much tapping into voids, not so much tapping into escapism, but it's not about like eliminating, it's about understanding why that exists in the first place. That goes across the board with everything I do. When it comes to speaking to people, when it comes to doing facials, when it comes to reading for people, cleansing people, everything that I offered, even the tattoo removal, it's removing things that are no longer suiting you, you know, to help remove things that are no longer suiting you. People come on here, and even just the act of coming on here is removing the ideologies that they're not good enough to be a person speaking on a podcast. You know, I like to create safe spaces everywhere I go for people to feel comfortable being themselves. So that's why I'd say, in a nutshell, what I do.
Well, I feel comfortable here, so you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from when you say you run yourself or thin, rather. Yeah, it's a lot. But no, I mean, at the very least, what I will say is like you're obviously focused. You know what I mean? You obviously have, whether you literally have a plan or not, you obviously have a, you know, like a plan, you know, or a mission, if you will. And I, not to be so contradictory, but I'm completely the opposite. So like I said before,
ask you, what do you do?
Yeah, so I kind of just, I hate sounding like this too, but I do everything. I do anything, or like anything in the literal artistic sense. I guess my top things are I'm a videographer, editor, etc. I've directed various music videos. That's the hottest thing for me right now is music videos, because there's so many artists that are looking for, you know, video. What does the camera do? You know what I mean? That's where I come in. So definitely video. Definitely an editor. I love painting. I make music. But it's really because from where you're about understanding people, I'm more about understanding myself. You know, I'm understanding the artistic expression. You know what I mean? Like understanding how I express myself, and a lot, like 99.9% of the time, it is just artistically. Like right now, I'm really into, like, I want to start like producing music. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm looking into just, you know, the correct software, the instrumentation, or, you know, I'm just looking into all the things that I need to actually produce, you know? And even then, like, it's more of a me trying to figure out how to scratch that creative itch, you know what I mean? Because, like, even then, like, I'm like, oh, you know, I need to, I hear that thing and it sounds like I could sample that, and da, 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 da. But, like, I don't want to sound like I'm too, like, I like music, you know what I mean? I just like making things. And it's just right now I'm in a music phase because I've never actually hardcore done it before. Like, I've made music and I've rapped and sang before, but, like, I've never sat and did it myself. You know what I mean? That just circles back to the idea of, like, you know, the independence, or, like, I like to do things myself because, you know, why wait for permission or wait for somebody else to get in the studio with me when I can just do it, you know? And at least for me, the only struggle of doing that just as a whole is the financial stability part of it. Coming back to the artistic maturity concept, right now, at least for me, it's really just I'm trying to understand how to, you know, get my bread and do my thing. You know what I mean? Because, like, being able to express myself is hard to do without money. For the most part, at least musically right now, because that's, like, what I want to do as of right this moment in time, that I haven't been able to yet. But nonetheless, you know, it sounds broad and it sounds silly, so I do things. You know, I just like doing things for the sake of why not. You know, because a lot of people, I was actually talking to there's a gentleman named Adam Moskowitz, huge guy in the cheese world. But I remember him. I was talking to him recently, and he was saying, you know, like, don't get like lost in your business. You know what I mean? Like, still, like, keep the creative part of you live, because even he, as big of a you know, guy in the cheese world he's very, like, you know, now opening up to his you know, making time for himself, because I remember him saying, like, he was also running himself thin at one point. You know, he was having troubles, and I'm having troubles now with, like, running myself thin and things like that. And same thing with you. It's really just I get from a lot of people nowadays that are significantly older than me that are like, you know, good on you for you know, keeping that, like, you know, the fun part of the fun part of your brain alive, because, like, a lot of people, like, get lost in the sauce of, like, 9 to 5. I need to get a job, but even then,
to shut it off.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have time for it.
Exactly. And a lot of it is too just, like, it's really just the balance of money and your own head, you know, because, you know, you need money to do a lot of things, but also part of me actually feels like, you know, I don't really need money to do anything I want to do. I could do whatever I want, you know. I could paint on a shirt that I have that's old, you know what I mean, with, like, I don't know, something that isn't paint, you know what I mean? It's more so, without money, I get more creative in, like, figuring things out, you know what I mean? But also, like, I want to do things, like, not the right way, but, like, you know, of course I can, like, produce a song without, like, the correct software, but I'm not really, like, doing what I want to do. I'm just kind of figuring it out until I can. It's a big fake it till you make it scenario. You get what I mean? Yeah. So, like, you know, I like doing things, but it's hard because sometimes that costs money. You know what I mean?
Well, doing the things is how you figure out how you actually want the things that you actually want to put, like, focus your time into.
Right.
You know, like, if you don't do the things, then you don't know if you actually wanted to do that or not. Because if you do something and you're like, I don't want to do it, you know, but you did it, and that's how you know. You're not wondering what if for the rest of your life. Yeah. That's the type of fucking pain no money can make go away. That's the thing that most people struggle with who do shut off that creative part of themselves. They wonder, what if I did pursue my art? What if it did get seen by the right person? But if you're doing your art and it's getting seen or not getting seen, you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And even if that's not your lane, but you doing art or doing whatever brings you to your lane, like, you can only establish that by doing the things. I think that's just a matter of, like, doing the things and then eliminating, you know, creating and then also destroying. Because if you're just creating, you're going to lose space. Yeah. You're not going to have any space. You're just going to maximize the space and, like, everything is going to be everywhere. You're not going to have anything to put, you know? So you have to also, as you create, you must destroy. You know, you must clean and defrag, you know, like, you got to consolidate, you know. I mean, well, you don't got to do anything, but I'm saying that to myself, like, and whoever resonates with that, like, I believe that because, yeah, like, we can create, and which is dope, like, and some people just destroy, and they don't have anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we find balance in that? You know?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying too. And like again, I'm not so like against the, the cookie cutter life, because it works for some people and that's great. It just, for me, it doesn't. And what I don't understand, just from people that I would love to, sorry, let me rephrase that. I understand why they do it. I don't understand it if I were to do it. If I were to do it, I'm like, dude, that's stupid. Like, why would I do that? I'd rather, make music or make a film or make a whatever,
Yeah.
So like the idea of like going to college because you're supposed to go to college, but you don't know what you want to do, so you just pick something. Yeah. Like, I know a guy, he's going for, I think it's computer science or something like obviously complex that you need to like do, you know what I mean? That you obviously need to like go to school for. And he just like picked it because he's like, I don't know, I picked something. And I'm just like, why? You know what I mean? And not like in a criticizing type of way, but it's just like, why did you pick that? For me, like if I was to do like the cookie cutter thing, I'd much rather do like the easy thing, like fucking literature or like theater. I definitely didn't go to school for film, but like nonetheless, you know what I'm talking about? It's like, why not do the thing that like fulfills you rather than, even if you're forced by your parents to go to college,
Did they give you an answer to that question? Did they know the answer?
No, I didn't outright say why, but like I did it in a joking way, like, why, man? Like, you're putting yourself through so much work. And he's like, I don't know, I just picked it. And that was the answer, you know what I mean? He just said, I don't know, I picked it. And I'm just like,
but that question in itself could have definitely prompted, that person to be like, oh yeah, why? Or maybe not, but at the end of the day, like, excuse me, like, do you really want to know why? Like, what it, like, like if you were to sit there and unpack that psychologically, like that's probably because of a lack of sense of self,
Yeah.
because like that's what most people are experiencing. It's like, but people are some people are more prone to the pressures of that than others. And essentially it's just trying to figure out who you are and also make the people that you love happy. So I truly believe that that's why a lot of people go into college and do those things, because they want to make their loved ones happy. They want to find some semblance of stability, even if they don't understand what they want to do yet. And that's their path of figuring it out. It might not be your path, and doesn't mean it's greater or less than.
Right.
But that's they might go to school and they might be like, fuck school. Actually, I'm much better at, dancing, doing something like abstract, whatever. Like, but they had to do the thing. That's just that person doing the thing. You asked why. The answer is because he's doing the thing.
Yeah. And yeah, no, there's no shade against anyone that like lives the cookie cutter, because like, obviously there's no issue with that. It's just
everybody's different. That's just their version of doing the things, as ours might be like doing the things in our room or in a studio. You know what I mean? It's like, I get that. I really do get that. And I feel like I've asked the same questions. That's why I have any semblance. I'm not to say that my answer is definitive and that it's the answer, or that it's your friend's answer. But from me asking those questions to so many people and like really collecting data on those topics, because I didn't understand people that went to college, especially ones that didn't know what they were going for. I was like, what the fuck? What's the point? Like, why would I be learning like more math if like I'm not trying
talking
to be
about running yourself thin?
I'm like, why? Exactly. Like, to me, in my head, I was like, going to college is going to be running myself thin. I'd rather go to trade school that specializes in one thing that I don't need to learn like science and math about unless it's related to that thing. That's what I felt. Yeah. That was my brain. That was my artistic brain trying to make sense of the expected. Because then it makes sense to me, So, yeah, shit just don't be making sense to us, and maybe it's not supposed to, because it's not you, But we can always inquire. We can always lean in. We can always look in, because humans are always trying to find ourselves in other people, right? So it's like, oh, okay, oh, I get it. Oh, you're just trying to do the things. I understand you now. You just do the things different than I do the things. We're just doing the same thing, different ways. Got it, And it's like, yeah, some people just don't move about it so artistically. It's more like, I guess like linear, you know,
like
in
beat
that
by
way.
beat,
Yeah, like, okay, graduate high school. Now I'm in college. Okay, now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing that. And it's like, yeah, everyone's different. And that, like, I feel like something I was unpacking in therapy yesterday. Yesterday's Tuesday, right? Yeah.
Yes.
when I was like juggling these concepts of me taking on this full-time job, which is something that I actually like, the full-time job is actually something that I want to do.
Is it my business to ask what it is? You could say no.
I just don't want it just because of like it's in the air. I'm already being vulnerable talking about it right now.
Oh, yeah, no, understood. No worries,
Yeah. So it's a really incredible opportunity, you know, for me to do something that I want to do and get paid like handsomely for it, you know, but the sacrifice of that, you know, like I feel a no, right, to it. But the unlearning of the societal pressure of like, but this is the way, because it's like, it's what I want to do, but I want to do it on my own, in the way, not on my own, like in my own company, or like for a more smaller company, because like this is like a big corp, right? And like it like that, and then in comparison to like the other job that I'm taking on, that like I feel good about, like it pays less, it's less hours, it's less stability, but it's still more stability than I was having. So I'm already making that decision. I've already surrendered. Okay, I'm closing down my brick and mortar. You know, I'm grateful for the experience that I had. You know, I have it until the end of August, and you know, I want to do like, I need to run this like this week. So I'm going to just do a plug right now to anyone who's listening.
By all means.
You know, I'm going to run a special on the services that I have for the last week of August. And, you know, and then I'm going to take everything down, put it away in storage for the time being so I make more sense of it again. And like, you know, I already have the plans of what I'm doing. It already makes sense. But, you know, the curveball was this opportunity. Like I already like, okay, I surrendered. I created, you know, I do need to take a step back. I'm gonna close this down. Okay, that was hard to make that decision, because I was like, you know what, I could just amp this shit up. I could just do it. You know, like I would just make it fucking happen. And I'm like,
and you didn't.
And it's like, yeah, well, I decided like I value my physical health, and if I don't prioritize it, I'm gonna fuck myself up. I like know it. Yeah. I feel it. Like, it's like I need to hit my baseline. I need to hit my baseline. I need to have some kind of just like charted, okay, like Thursdays I'm getting paid this amount of money, rather than like all of these abstract jobs that I've been floating around in for like a decent amount of time now, you know? And yeah, with all that being said, it's been a few years since I've had a stable job. And you know, I made do and I've learned a lot, but I feel like right now it's a good season for me to tap into that. But my point of bringing all that up was like, I was unpacking it in therapy. Like, she's like, well, if you know how you feel about it, like, why do you feel so much pressure to like consider this like so severely? And I was just like, I had to unpack it and be like, because like even the close loved ones that I shared it with, they're like, oh yeah, you just put your head down, you know, you take that job, you save up, you're making like X amount of thousands a week, and like you do that, and then you save, and then you could do everything you want. I'm not that person. I'm going to be spending money coping with the fact that I can't do what I want to do now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to, like, I know how I am. You know, like, unless it was completely aligned with my morals, you know, I'm not closing the door to that concept, because it could potentially be, you know, I'll see what goes on. I just don't really imagine it to be. So like, with that being said, it's like honoring my no, honoring my yes, and like what that means to me and where that's coming from, why I considered it. But I wouldn't even know that if I didn't do the things. You know what I mean? If I didn't consider the things, if I didn't burn myself out, I wouldn't know what burns me out. Yeah. If I didn't take the leap to see what works, I wouldn't figure out what doesn't work. You know, so I can go back. Like, me closing down my brick and mortar isn't like the ultimate end and the failure to me. It's like, this is a stepping stone. This is teaching me what got me there. Like, first of all, I got there. That's more than anyone in my family that has nobody has taken that leap, you know, yet. And that's more than people around me that I know, not to compare myself to anything. Like, it's more than I did yesterday. It's more than I did last year. You know, that's what I care about. And it's like, now I learn about that. And then to just be given like, okay, you think you got to figure it out? That's cool. How about this? How about exactly what society tells you should be doing right now? Yeah. And I'm like with a hint of what you want to be doing. I'm like, oh fuck.
You know,
What does that look like?
yeah, and it's crazy because I feel like life also always like throws like kind of like it's not like the opposite per se, but like a thing that you would have never fucking expected like through your way. But also I feel like that's like the biggest thing to like when you overcome that, you overcome. Not to sound so corny, but it's like, you know, if you keep doing it, you'll be so good. But like even back to remember how I said I was doing the I was just overworking myself, and I like, you know, I was had the medical problems went on. So I went to the hospital, and when I went to the hospital, the first time I ever felt just like I don't give a single fuck about like anything creative was when I got to the hospital. It was more so like that like life button actually turned on in my head. You know what I mean? Where it was like, you know, like at the end of the day, I'm here, and even if it's like today is the end, like, am I satisfied? You know what I mean? And it's like at that point, it was less regret and more like I don't really care about like film or music, and it's like I just kind of like want to be here and like fuck it, maybe this is like my new beginning, and maybe I'll be like a doctor after this. You know what I mean? It was more so I think that was although literally a physical reset, a mental reset too. And I think even back onto like the breaks that we were talking about before, like that like day where I went to the hospital and then like I had to take like I think it was like 2-week break from like everything, and I was just at home like laying in my bed literally the entire time. I really think that like life kind of throws you the worst things to prepare you for the rest of life. You know what I mean? And that being like the harshest example, at least for me, like I said, really just like pushed me to understand, like, you know, I have no idea when the end of my life will be. You know what I mean? Not to be so deep, but like just the idea of like, right now I could be like 3/4 of the way through my life already. You know what I mean? So it's like also bringing you back to the idea of just why not just do things now? You know what I mean? And like the impulsive decision making is kind of like, at least like I said, for me, pushes that along, because otherwise like I wouldn't have, you know, I wouldn't, not that I wouldn't have anything to say for myself, but like if it were to end tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like where will I have gone? And it's like, I don't even think I'm in a point where it's like, you know, I need to make an impact, but it's just like, I want to be, you know, like feel comfortable with like how I live / how I lived, you know what I mean? And really just the more opposite situations and more harsh situations that are thrown at us, I feel like is better. And not like, you know, I want to be absolutely destroyed by life, but it's like, you know, it's you need the bad.
You need the experience.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
need to find the balance for sure.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree. And it's like, I feel like once again, I feel like I'm actually coming from the opposite spectrum, because I was very much so in that space for so long. Like I actually didn't think I was going to live a long life. Like I genuinely didn't. I had so much trauma happen to me in my life. Nonetheless, like my from 17 to like my early 20s, like the amount of fucking trauma that was happening, like catastrophic events that were happening were like so real that like I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. I have to do this. And that's what broke me out of my shell. That's why I exist in this way at all, or else I would be way too shy to fucking be here in front of the cameras, speaking to you, making eye contact in general.
Hi,
you
cameras.
know what I mean? Like all of that to say, like, I'm in this space of like, I'm really in this bitch. Like I'm alive, and I think I'm staying for a bit, you know? So fuck, I gotta save money. Like things like that. Like, you know.
Now we have to save money, do the thing that we were like talking about before.
You know, so like now I'm shifting out of that. Like I'm less impulsive because like from what I've learned, I had to become impulsive in order to do things, because I was such an impulsive such an overthinker. I wouldn't do the things. I would think about the things. And then I became impulsive, and like it made me do the things. And then I realized impulsivity and turbulence isn't sustainable. And I was like, all right, well, how the fuck can I sustain this? And I was like, where I'm at.
That's the problem, man. How the hell do we just sustain all this? Because, you know, like, sorry, not to bring it back to the hospital thing again, but it's just like, you don't know what's going to happen. So like, how do I even sustain the things that I'm doing now that will probably be counteracted? You know what I mean? It's like stability is bad. Not bad, but like it's difficult.
You got to choose whether you want to invest in the stock market or in bonds. You know what I mean? Like the stock market is going to, like high risk, high reward, right? That shit's going up and that shit's going down. It's going up and it's going down. That's the impulsivity. And then the bonds is like, all right, well, this is generally like the area of what this, it goes up a little bit, it goes down a little bit, but you're generally not going to lose too much money. You know, it's like less of risk. you got to choose that in your time. And then there's sometimes to invest aggressively and then to aggress passively. And then simultaneously there's, if you have enough funds, you could do both, or if you have the resources, you do both. And that's the way I look at it with my life. I didn't start investing money into things until I actually really started learning, like actively participating and investing money into things until I could actually break it down and understand, because I didn't fucking understand stocks and bonds.
I still don't, man. Maybe it's because I'm too young.
Maybe,
but
honestly. I feel like I still don't know shit. And I feel like I learned more like in my 27th year than I did about, say, like, actually, not that I didn't learn it, because I was told it over and over and over again, but it didn't actually settle in. And that's the thing that I think about also when it comes to age, because me in my early 20s, and even in my late teens, like, because of the amount of trauma I had, I was very much so advanced in like my awareness, emotional intelligence, just life shit. I experienced things that some people in their entire life didn't experience. I had a lot of life experience very early on. Simultaneously, the difference between me now, like, I was a brand manager of a natural skincare company traveling all over the United States when I was at the age of 20, 21, you know what I'm saying, which is like fucking dope, Simultaneously, the difference between me then and me now, I'm more stable in myself. Like, I understand myself more. Even though I understood myself then, I'm less turbulent. Like, so I have more of a baseline emotion. I can, like, if I don't have the yogurt in the morning, like, I know, like, at a certain point in my morning, if I have the tea, it's going to bother my stomach. I should make sure I do it. Like, the simple shit. It's like, I don't think it's there's reverence around how many, like, cycles we go around. As the older I get, the more I have reverence for age. Because I was always the baby. So I was always like, what do you mean? I understand. Like, I'm telling you I understand. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm the youngest, but I experienced all this shit. Nobody understands me. Like, and I always felt like that. And like now I think it's like less about like, older and younger. I believe people that I'm around more younger people right now in my life than I have ever been, ever. Because I was always the baby. But I'm like, but if I was the baby and they're the babies of this group, then they're the me's of their generation. You know what I mean? So I'm like, why the fuck am I going to son them? Like, why am I going to look at, like, y'all are my peers? Like, why am I going to look at people in that way? Like, no, like, I have so much I can learn from you. I have so much I can learn from anybody who's younger than me, And with that being said is, like, I feel like what I received the most out of my 28th year that just started, just letting things seep, like tea. You could put tea in water, and like, or like an infusion rather. You could put something in water, and like it'll taste a little bit like the essence. But if you really let it steep, you can understand like all about it. You taste each of the flavors, like the notes, you can understand what it's trying to do more than just like the essence. You might not be able to fully utilize it because you don't have the color. You don't have the medicinal benefits of it. You have, and then if you consume it fast, whether you let it steep or not, you didn't even get to know it. So I feel like for me with age, it's brought me the concept of appreciating the things that have steeped in more. I knew a lot of things. I was just talking about this with my mom this morning. Like, I knew a lot of things, but I didn't have the capacity to apply them yet, because the only thing that I needed is to just let it sink in. And you can't accelerate that. That's just gonna happen at different moments. For real.
How old do you think I am? I don't remember if I told you.
I think you are 24.
Close. I'm 22.
Okay.
Now, is there anything that you want to learn from? So it's a two-part question. Is there anything that you're looking to learn from, whether it's the podcast and meeting different people, or like, is there anything you want to learn from me specifically, or like, you know what I mean? Is there anything you are, I guess, looking for?
You've already taught me a bunch. I'm just open to learning by listening to you, you know? I mean, I'm just learning by listening to you.
Oh, shucks. And vice versa. Now, is there anything that just you have not, like, you want to be able to, whether it be conquer or learn, or, you know what I mean? Is there anything else that you, like, is there, I guess, any particular goal?
I mean, there's countless things I want to learn. I want to learn anything that, I want to learn so many things, you know. In fact, I want to learn too many things. I do learn things all the time. But if I were to just like generalize it right now and like ground it, I really like, I don't have like a specific thing that I'm like, I need to learn this right now, because in fact, I actually am in a process of like unlearning a lot of things. I feel like I'm at like very max capacity in my brain right now. Not that I can't learn things, I still do, especially when it's interpersonal, between person to person. I'm always here and I'm always open. I always have space for that. But are you talking about like, you know, go to school for something in particular, learn a niche pocket? More so?
Sure. It was an open question.
You know what? Actually, there is one thing.
Let me know.
Managing myself and organizing and consolidating, learning like the craft. I want to like Marie Kondo my life. You know what I mean? On that shit, like, but like in my own way. You know, I want to learn my own version of what it is, really, which is just applying what I know. So it's like, you know, it's a fucking loop right now, to be honest with you. But
destroy, build, destroy.
Yeah. Destroy, create, destroy, find the balance. Okay, what needs to, destroy a little more. You know, that's really where I'm at. I'm open to learning whatever is meant for me to learn, you know, what's going to benefit me, benefiting me and other people. You know, and something that I do want to just also acknowledge before it slips my mind again. You know, you said to me before, like, you do the opposite of me, because I'm like connecting with people and you're connecting with yourself. I have to connect with myself. You know, if I didn't connect with myself, I wouldn't be able to connect with people as deep as I do. Because I constantly connect with myself. Like, I'm constantly putting myself under evaluation. Let me not say that, because that sounds like really clinical and fucked up. I don't want to be like, oh, I dissect myself. I absolutely fucking do. But I'm like working on like just being curious. You know what I mean? Just being curious about myself and learning, and learning and unlearning, you know? So podcast is called Duality. Everything in my life is about finding balance. Whether we want to call it my Libra moon, or whether we want to call it just my fixation on being just, you know. I have just started that path of, in the more recent years, of considering myself more in my life, because I was coming from that spectrum of just considering people. But I have to consider myself a person. It's a part of it.
So then do you, I mean, this might kind of be a repetitive question, but do you have, are there any particular, like, actual, like, on paper, like, goals you have, or are you just completely freeform?
Both. But yeah, I have some goals.
Is my best, you could say no.
Yeah. You know, I have some that I share, some that I won't, you know. Essentially, really right now, like, my priority is to tap into my body more and just acknowledge what my body wants, which I'm doing actively, from like the things I was discussing before, even making the right decisions for myself. And I just like to cook for myself more and organize more. Yeah. And just continue to let things go that are meant to leave.
Same. I'm kind of same, but kind of not. I'm trying to learn how to cook so hard. It's not going well.
I could pass you some recipes.
That would be phenomenal.
For sure.
I think either way though, a lot of it, at least for me, like cooking wise, is understanding what is good to eat and what is not good to eat. So at least right now I have I'm going into so many like medical things about myself. I have to watch my cholesterol because I have high cholesterol. Finding things that are good to eat. Not that it's hard, but like finding things that are good that I can cook like within a reasonable amount of time. You know what I mean? Is kind of like the biggest challenge for me. You know what I mean? Because like I said, my days are very like schedule based and very like, you know, I have to do this at 1, I have to do this at 2, I have work at 9. You know what I mean? It's like very like that. And like not to be so like Gen Z, but like I need to learn how to cook quickly. You know what I mean? But it's also like I've cooked for myself, you know, just dinner slowly one night because, you know, I've had time and, you know, and that's a lot more like fulfilling. You know what I mean? Because like the phrase "made with love" is legit, because like when I cook the most delicious like Italian pasta I've ever made myself. I feel so good. I'm like, damn, I wish I could do this again. And I can, but it takes so much time. And that's just what I guess sucks about, you know, complete just, like freelance and, working on your own schedule. Cause it's like, you have to find yourself or find yourself the time to do the things. And like doing a simple thing, like cooking for myself to like improve my mental and or physical being. It's like I hate saying it's hard, but it's hard.
It can be
You know what I
difficult
mean?
for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I completely can relate to that.
Mm.
And like, I don't know if you have ADHD, but I do.
Mm.
And there's a lot of like ADHD hacks for people that want to cook fast and like put like healthy stuff in your body.
Mm.
And like, there's just a bunch of different systems. I think it's just systems, Like that's like a goal of mine right now too. It's just like establishing the systems that work. That's why I'm like, I got rid of a lot of old systems and now I'm integrating new ones. But I have to discover what they are by doing the things. And like, like you're saying, like just listening to you is like, all right, first of all, are you open to feedback?
Yeah, by all means.
Finding like, making batch pasta. You want to make the best pasta sauce, make a batch of it.
Yeah.
Make a big batch and then jar that shit, mason jars, airtight, boom, boom, and then you just need to boil some pasta. Get you some chickpea pasta. Get you some red lentil pasta.
Chickpea pasta goes crazy. What I didn't know is how much
does.
protein is in that bitch. Oh my God. Like, I could work out and like not eat anything after but the chickpea pasta and I'll be solid. You know what I mean? Yeah, chickpea pasta goes hard.
Yeah, dude, getting the chickpea pasta, making the sauce in advance. So when you're putting all that love into that sauce, you're making a lot of it. So then all you have to do is boil the pasta, boom, put that shit on. You have prepackaged love, bro.
That's crazy.
It's just finding the systems.
I cook it a meatball for real. But yeah, man. Actually, if you don't mind me asking, I have to go turn the camera on because I didn't turn it on before to save battery. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you to comment on the mural outside, if that's all right, in a second.
Can we do that?
After the fact.
After the podcast, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'll
For sure.
Mm-hmm. So, to get back into the center of artistic maturity, is there anything that you want to speak on before we wrap up? Or is there any other, also like speaking on what we were just talking about, is there any other goals or anything that you are working on besides, that, or anything that you want to share? I want to give you the same platform that you gave me on my podcast, for you to answer those questions if you feel comfortable.
Well, I do appreciate it. But, I mean, like, no, but kind of yes. So, like, I think a lot of what I do, like I said, is very just impulse and very, like, free form and just, like, kind of just, I don't care about anything. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say I have a goal, but I think my goal is to not have a goal. And as meta as it is, I think not having a goal, like, opens my mind to, like, different opportunities and, like, open to different little things or being able to cook myself the chickpea pasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I do think something that not a lot of people have thought about is the idea of not having a goal as the goal, and I think that when you don't have a goal, I'm not saying things work out better, but at least based on personal experience, not having a goal and not having, like, I guess a clear path to go down is, I wouldn't even say easier, but definitely just like more like it's easier to go down that, like, the unknown path strong because you don't know what's going to happen. Like always, like, the best things in life always come in, like, complete, like, out of nowhere, like I wouldn't even be doing this podcast if Danny didn't hit me up randomly and say, hey, like, I'm coming back up. Yeah. Shout out to Third Day Child. But I wouldn't even be here if, like, he didn't randomly reach out to me, like, during high school or after high school, because we didn't talk, like, too much in high school. But not having a plan is cool, because, the things that come out of the blue are always the most important, at least in my personal life. I can't speak for everybody.
It's less daunting when you're not focusing on the same image too while you're walking down the tunnel.
Yeah, that, and it's also like a similar thing to, like, if you're getting a tattoo, for example. Like, I want to get a tattoo, but I'm like so indecisive. It's very, like, if I have the same goal, I'm gonna get tired of it in, like, a year. You know what I mean? And it's ironic because I wanted to do, like, film stuff since I was in, like, 6th grade or something, but, like, it just, that, like, evolved into something, but that's not the point. Like, change is necessary, at least for me, to, like, keep that ball rolling, because if I don't have, like, the more interesting thing go on, like, not that it's not worth it, but, like, the more interesting, different things that happen, the better, because it's like, back into that like life experience thing. You don't know when you're gonna go, so it's like the more change, the better, because you can experience more. You get me?
For sure. You have more space. You're not just. You have a more open scope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you for, sharing your experience, and, thank you for also asking me questions, because that's always different and new when that happens.
Of course. So. I'm just I'm here to talk, I'm not even here for I'm here for the podcast, but like, I'm not here for the podcast. I'm here to talk to a new friend. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's literally what the podcast is.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like, if it wasn't that, I wouldn't be doing it, bro. I'll be honest with you. That's what it is. This just happens to be, the podcast is the platform for people to be able to see that, to be able to witness us having a genuine, authentic, organic conversation. Yeah. And they're just getting to listen in with us and either resonate or not resonate and be like, oh my God, yeah, or like, what the fuck, no, and like have their own conversation with us while we're having our conversation here.
Yeah. And then, sorry, completely just tangent question. Have you ever like just not known what to say on the podcast, like in response all the time?
Yeah.
Did you feel like this one at any point? You could say yes.
Probably. I don't know.
Probably. Understood.
Yeah. I feel like it's pretty obvious when I don't, but I recover quick. You know what
Understood,
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't even try to hide it. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I don't really feel like I actually felt like that on the podcast, because I feel like we've just been very direct. I do very well with direct.
I do appreciate that, but
yeah, like know, I have a harder time when it comes to like more abstract, like especially on the pod, because it's like, unless like I'm also in the abstract space, like if I'm there and you're there and we're like, yeah, that's different. Then when it's like I'm here and then someone's there, like then it's harder for me to be like, okay, like I have to like I have to let go a little more, So it's like I feel like we've been very at this table.
It's true. I am at the table for sure.
And so it's I feel like, yeah, but there definitely has been plenty of times in podcasts where like I'm like,
damn, this person sucks, man.
No, I actually don't have people that suck on the podcast. I have to be honest. I actually decline people, to come on the podcast to avoid that.
Have people asked you before, like particularly?
A lot of people, actually a lot more, like a lot recently. And if I say no, it doesn't necessarily mean that and listen to the podcast and be like, oh, I suck. That's why she said no. Like, no,
that's why she hates you. She thinks you're terrible. Sorry, dude.
Not why. I think just like people have different concepts of like what. Some people don't even listen to my podcast and they ask me to be on the podcast because they just want to utilize the fact that it's a podcast and it's around, whether they know me or they know that where I'm from and they want to utilize that. So like whenever like I asked, like, have you listened to the podcast? Like if I start feeling that weird feeling, I'm like, all right, have you listened to it? What's your expectations? Because then people start giving me demands of what they want to talk about on the podcast. I'm like, that's not how it works. Mm-hmm. Like we decide what we want to talk about.
It's
like,
a group effort.
I don't decide, you don't decide, we decide. So if you're coming to me with that kind of energy and that like this is the quickest way to get like I'm sorry, I don't think it's gonna work out. You know what I mean? Because it's just no.
Well, at that point, I do appreciate it because, like I said, I never want to butt it on anybody's thing, especially because I do the same thing. I'd hate for people to be like, yeah, give me the. But yeah, dude, some people suck. Some people are great though.
For sure, it's part of being alive. Yeah. The duality of it.
That's crazy. That's the name of the. But
yeah, feel free to plug anything that you want to plug in about yourself if you want to. You don't need to.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good that you told me because I wouldn't have done it just by myself. Listen, if anybody needs a music video, for real, my little production company right now, we're still working out the legal logistics before we actually, get crazy, like promotionally and anything like that. But right now we do music videos most frequently. Can I give you a link to like post? Is that a thing?
Please do. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I'll ask her to put my real like linked or whatever. But yeah, definitely big in the music video game right now. The space I have is sorry, let me start that over completely. So the company as a whole is a multimedia film and audio company. Whether you need recording time, like booth, like music recording time, an engineer, or if you need, like I said, like a music video or music related things, just as a whole, we got. Not to be such an advertisement, but Yeah, there's that. We have just our entire film department, just anything film related. Whether it's, you need a person, you need equipment. We do film equipment rentals. Yeah, the whole thing. But definitely into the music scene right now. That's the biggest jump, at least for me personally, with the business endeavors. And like I said before, I make music as well. You can find me on all streaming, ANG, pronounced Ang, or Ange, whatever you prefer. I don't care.
Oh, shit, my bad.
Yes. No, you're good. You're good. So most people have called me Ang, and I just go by it.
I got Ang socks on right now.
Yo.
I'm like, hold on, can I like not awkwardly? I don't want to put my foot on the actual.
Yo, that's crazy. I wish I. Where'd you get them?
Bro.
If you remember.
TJ Maxx or GameStop.
I'm going to TJ Maxx or GameStop after this for sure.
Either one. I forgot. I think you can find them either place. I mean, TJ Maxx is gonna be more rare, but. Cheaper. Understood. I'm sure like thrift stores or maybe like an Amazon or something too will have something. I'll dig, but nonetheless, I don't care how you pronounce my name. It was just the one G. That I was like, oh, but if it makes your name. And I'm sorry, go ahead. You could continue doing your
No, that's okay.
I was just like nerding out. I was like, wait a second, we're talking about Avatar, bro. I got him on right now.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Got that thing on me.
I two summers ago, I've because when the show came out, like I like watched it, but I was like 6 or something at the time, so I like didn't really watch it. But I watched it 2 summers ago, front to back, and I was like, wow, like I get it now, you know. But no beef. I have no preference how you pronounce my name. A lot of people just say Ang out the gate, and like. There's a shout out to the Seven Seals Discord, but the people attached to the Seven Seals Discord have been calling me Ang for like 2 months ish now, and I just am running with it, and that's just the most commonly what people call it. I'm not sure why, because I think Ang is spelled with 2 A's, right, or 2 G's. I don't
know. I said 2 G's, but either way, it's
fire.
Whatever. It's fire.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah, no, it's dope. I'm gonna call you Ang now. You know what I mean?
Dope. You know how powerful I feel, man?
Yo, dude. I mean, fucking, like, that's a fucking dope name to be called.
Dude, it's crazy because I shaved my head recently. My Halloween costume is about to go crazy.
Bro,
not to flex, but I'm so flexing. Like, I'm so excited.
You should, bro, because like, listen, people like me, I was gonna commit to a fucking bold cap, and that was a lot of hair. You know what I mean? So it was just gonna be too much.
Good on you. I don't think I don't know. Like, sorry if I'm holding you up too much, but it's just
you're not holding me up. You're good.
Dude, and just to, by the way, for anybody that's not has thought about it but hasn't fully like committed to it yet, going bald is fucking awesome. You know how much less time I spend in the shower now? Like, I didn't have like long hair before, but like in comparison to what I've had, within the past 5 years or so, I had like. Sorry, let me start the process over. So I had to shave my head a couple years ago because, I thought I had Lyme's disease, and the doctor was like, listen, you should cut your hair or whatever, because if you have anything on your head and whatever, what's it called? So I shaved my head then, but I didn't like do it good, and like people were laughing at it because I didn't really like do it well. I just kind of like went and it looked like shit, but and then I grew it out up until like this past, I think it was March, so it was long. It was 2 years worth of hair, but then obviously I had to show off the bald spot at some point. That was sarcasm. That was terrible. I apologize. But I had a bald spot and it was killing me, so I just committed to the bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you did the things.
Now, yeah. And listen, if I didn't have a beard, I wouldn't have done it, because like I don't like, people call me a thumb just to fuck with me now, but like actually being a thumb is like, I don't want to be bald and not have any facial, because that's just goober central.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'd recommend it if you've never done it. But obviously, I get it though, because having the long hair, there's a sense of pride with the hair too. You know what I mean? Because even with the bald spot that I had, like I always wore a hat or a bandana or something just so I can hide the little nothing up there. But insecurities with Angelo.
Listen, we're fucking here for it all, dude.
That's what
I'm
saying.
Good, here for it all, and I want to ask you a question about your music videos. So, what is your favorite part? Like, what is your I'll start with that. What is your favorite part about capturing the different material to create and compose music videos?
Honestly, it's in my opinion, or at least based on my experience, like the most freeform kind of just like fun type of filmmaking. Like, I love making like short films on little things, and I have a feature film that me and my buddy from high school are working on, but like that's like a project, whereas music videos are less of like a less of a stress, you know what I mean? And I get to connect with musicians, and, you know, I love making music, and, you know, I love meeting people, and, you know, working with musicians is just fun because, like, for the most part, they all either know exactly what they want and I can just do what they want and it's great, or, you know, I get complete creative freedom. And, like, very rarely in any type of, like, you know, form of video or film do I get to, like, work creatively with another artist for a, you know, a common theme. Oh, we want to make a music video, and, you know, oh, cool shots, nice camera, you know. It's really more so about the creative portion of it, but I absolutely love the connections, you know. And I also, because I also love doing music videos because, like, I've never worked with anyone that I didn't like the music for. You know what I mean? Like, if I do a music video, I like your shit, but, like, it's very rare that I say no. But, like, if I don't like your song, I'll be like, straight up, I don't love this song, but, like, here's my ideas, da-da-da-da, you know? But I've never had to do that to anybody because, like, anybody I've worked with, you know, puts their full effort in it either way. But that also, you know, goes to say, like, I'm never going to be there and, like, critique you and be like, oh, this song is trash or anything, but it's just like, you know, I'll be upfront with you, you know, if, like, I'm not totally rocking with your shit, you know, like.
Super fucking valuable information, because I feel like, you know, like, either people really love and respect that or they'll avert you. And either way, if they avert you, then you're not supposed to work with them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the same way with shit like that. I really get that.
Yeah, but even then, yeah, it's really just, like, the most creative portion of it. And, like, you know, once you, at least based off of my most recent stuff, you know, once somebody works with you once, like, they more likely than not will work with you again. So it's just kind of like building a friendship along with it, you know. And I don't love mixing business and friendships, but it's the one exception, because in that case, you know, because of business, you make a friend, and then you get more business from the friend, and you know. Yeah. So it's constant support both ways. Exactly. We love working with people. For sure. If you're a musician, you can make good music, let me know. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you have anything you would like to talk about?
I was just giving it space.
Understood. I was not.
No, it's okay. It's all good. I'm good, dude. Yeah. Anything else on your mind before we head out?
Nothing particularly. I kind of really still have to take a shit. That's it. I don't know what the protocol for TMI is on here, but.
All right, listen. You do what you gotta do. I'm going to pull. Are you comfortable with me pulling cards? How are you about that?
Oh, I don't care. That's
okay,
fine.
I'm not gonna do the traditional. I'm just gonna pull some, like, just one simple card on essentially.
If I see anything about death on the way home today, I'm gonna cry.
Oh no, it's nothing like that. This isn't. I'm not even gonna pull from the deck that has that word in it. But even in that is, like, the traditional tarot, right? Mm-hmm. Death doesn't mean, it can, but rarely does it actually mean death. It more so means, like, destroying.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, you need to destroy something,
gotcha.
Right?
I need to destroy the car in front of me on my way home. Got it.
So these are more. These are my cards that I created. Mm-hmm. So
you made them yourself?
Yeah. Oh, nice. So I'm just gonna put intention out there for anybody who's open to receive a message right now on, you know, just something that they could benefit from focusing on. Today is the new moon in Leo. There's a lot of different stuff going on in the sky from what I've gathered and different information, despite the new moon being the time to, like, manifest right now because of different, like, conjunctions that are happening. It isn't. So I suggest everyone to just do their research and also just, you know, maybe take time to think of, like, what is beneficial to just be focusing on, whether that is letting some things go, you know, destroying some things, and or thinking about what you want to create, you know. So just want to give space to that, and just want to give a prayer to be the conduit of whatever message is meant to be put out there for any of us that are listening that are open. What could we benefit from doing here and now in this moment, whenever it is that you're listening to this pod? May it be timeless and may it be resonant. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Yeah, so that's the theme. So let's just talk about it.
I say get it out.
Mm-hmm. It's a little person throwing up.
That's crazy.
Which happened right after you talk about you need to take a shit.
Yeah, I was just going to say, dude, what are the odds?
So we're going to end this podcast right here so everybody could just get out what they need to get out.
Does anyone else feel a little nauseous right now? Whew.
So essentially what this means is just like there's something that's inside of you that's trying to come out. Maybe that's a burp. Maybe that's a hiccup. Maybe that's going to the bathroom. Maybe that's throwing up. Maybe that's getting rid of some vegetables in the fridge. Maybe it's getting rid of some outdated beliefs, you know. Anything that's limiting you from being fully present in your body and allowing yourself the space to believe in you and to do the things that you see yourself doing and moving forward. Now could be a really good time to let it out, you know, and honor that and just trust, like, whatever it is that came to your mind when you seen Get It Out, if you did see it, like, you know, or when you heard me say it. Just honor that, you know, allow yourself to release what no longer serves you and do the things. And you'll find out the things that you're meant to do even more so. So that's all I got for y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning with us. Thank you so much, Ang, for being with us.
Of course. Thank you for the invite.
Of course. And shout out to Danny for being the plug. And you know, we'll definitely work on some other things, you know, with the rest of our day. And thank y'all for tuning in. And see you not next week, but the week after, okay? I remember this time is the 30th, okay? So I'll see y'all then.